Okay. We are WT, USAT Data and Facts. I'm Stephanie and this is Dawn, and today we're going to talk about the US Open in Reno and the Canadian Open in Vancouver, and why they're both so important. So I know Dawn's been making some posts about the statistics of, last year and the last few years versus this year of who's been registered and who's not registered, and why is it always less in Reno and yet the points are the same. So if you serious athletes, why aren't you going? All right, so all right, off to you, Don. Why is it so? Which one should we start with? Canada Open?
Yeah, let's do that. It's first. Let's do that.
All right. Why is the Canada Open so important? A G2 in Vancouver, as you say, Mr. Dual Citizen. Vancouver is one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Yeah, I'm not going to go on about that because I already did that. But you're exactly right, and I think you've really hit the nail on the head so far with, the Canada Open's a G2, as is the US Open. It's a G2, so by definition they have the same value. And most people.
KPNP.
Oh, thank you. And
KPNP,
Canada Open.
The only Pan Am Open that uses KPNP.
Right. Canada is using KPNP for a second year in a row, whereas the US Open is using Daedo. And we've seen how incredibly erratic Daedo is. Most of the time, the chess gears do not work. It was like that for the heavyweights, the male heavyweights last year at the US Open.
So let's talk about Canada Open.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the Canada Open.
KPNP, G2.
Yes.
So what are the statistics? Who's signed up and who's not signed up, and what do the trends look like?
Okay. So
who's going this year that didn't go last year?
And, that's a great question. Haven't fully analyzed that. So anyway, where we are is today is January 14th, and we have 12 more days of registration being open for the Canada Open until I think it's 5 p.m. Pacific on the January 26th. So that's the cutoff time to register. So everybody needs to be thinking about registering. If you don't register, you can't compete because you can't just show up and compete. So right now, as of this morning, there were 200 senior athletes. We're just talking about senior athletes here, not cadets and juniors and ultras or whatever. Senior athletes who have registered for the Canada Open. And that was on trend to be higher than last year. Last year, there was only 244, which is very low, actually, for a G2 event at the Canada Open. And then, oh, by the way.
But who came?
Yeah, who came is a great question.
Why it was so difficult.
And yes, Korea came, and Korea won almost every gold medal at the Canada Open. And they did the same thing at the US Open, where they won 6 golds of the seniors. So that's 6 out of 16. Whereas in Canada, I think it was at least 10 or maybe even 12 golds. So the Koreans dominated, but right now the Koreans are not registered anywhere. So no Korea. Yay! And so
that's more points for other people.
Yeah.
Other competitors.
Yeah, because typically a dominant nation shows up, either at Canada or the US or both, like Korea last year. They went to both. They just flew across the Pacific. It was one of the few events where their teams did both the whole event.
What do you mean the whole event?
Well, Korea does very few G events. They just focus on themselves internally. And then they send their best athletes to Worlds and Grand Prix and all that. They don't do many G events at all. But they do
President's Cup.
The Asian President's Cup usually.
Why is that important?
That's important, thank you, because for the Olympic rankings, you're allowed to accumulate 40 WT points during the year at G1 and G2 events and anywhere around the world, except if you go to your continent's President's Cup, which is a G2, those are extra. So that actually goes from 40 to 60. That's a 50% increase on your normal points. So that's a big deal.
So it allows you to, so you say you've maxed out your points. Say I've maxed out my points as a F49 black belt, and I go to the President's Cup, the USA President's Cup, and I get a gold. So I'm allowed those extra 20 points, correct?
Exactly.
Now, if I had maxed out my points, and I went to another G2 event, I would and I got a gold, I wouldn't get any points.
Right. If you went to like European or Asian or African President's Cup,
or any other 2G event.
Yeah, they just displace other G events. They wouldn't really count for anything.
I'd get the gold, but I wouldn't get the points because I'd already maxed out my points. Correct.
For Olympic rankings, that's right.
Okay.
Okay. So this year, the Asian President's Cup is very early. It's actually the same weekend, same week and weekend as the US Open, and it's immediately after the Canada Open. So, Asia's got to think about, the President's Cup. And by the way, it's in Tehran, in Iran. And right now, it's almost all just Iranians signed up, with some Jordanians and a few other people. But
I thought you said Koreans were signed up.
They haven't signed up yet for that.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm watching it, and they haven't signed up for anything.
Okay.
Korea and China haven't signed up for anything. And so they're almost certainly going to go to the Asian President's Cup.
Okay. Which is good for USA Open.
And Canada.
Yeah, and the Canada Open.
So right now, the national teams that we do know have registered for the Canada Open include Australia and Taiwan or Taipei, whatever your preference is, and a few other countries like India and, countries that aren't really thought of as major powers.
Well, Canada.
Canada is interesting because most of their national team is not signed up yet. For example, the Park family, Skylar, Brendan, and Taiku have not signed up. And I don't believe their dad has signed as a coach yet.
What is their trend? Do they usually sign up late?
Yes, there's a tendency for some people, and they're a candidate for that.
So they'll probably sign up like 3 days before the deadline or something.
I don't know why they cut it so close, but yeah, you'd think definitely within the last week.
Probably because they want to see who else signs up.
Yes, but
I think that's a trick a lot.
Canada Open, how could the Parks not go to the Canada Open? How could you not go?
Okay, so is the U.S. going to the Canada Open?
Oh, great question, Steph. The Academy is
very important G2 event that's at Pan Am and using KPNP, so we know it's based on statistics. It's more fair.
Yeah, like last
USA
year.
Going?
Like last year, the U.S. Premier team, the Academy, did not go to the Canada Open, and this year,
tops did though.
And some of the tops did go. Although I think they also went to the Costa Rica event, Pan Am Series Costa Rica. And so I think they were split between those two events. But anyway, there are some ace athletes. Who were former Chase
group.
So, for example, I noticed that Kenneth Benavides has signed up in 63.
Okay.
And one or two other ace athletes have signed up.
What about the Salim brothers? I know they're Hungarian, but they are American.
Sharif signed up in 58.
58.
And Omar, surprisingly, has signed up in 63.
With Kenneth Benavides.
Yes.
Yeah, so they'll be in the same.
They'll be in the same bracket. And, Omar and Sharif are both highly ranked 58 athletes. And it's just interesting that Omar happens to be in 63 this year.
So the Americans that we know are going, that are signed up, are representing Hungary and
the U.S.
And ace. We've got one ace.
I believe it's 2 ace, maybe 3. I think Aiden Bevel might have signed up, but I'm not 100% sure. Montana Miller has not.
Oh, she should.
And
Maya Mata should too. I know she's now a Tops. So.
Yeah, and so Tops, there's a rumor out there that Tops may go, and that would include their new athletes, which includes Michael Rodriguez.
A new coach.
Michael Rodriguez.
And
Maya Mata.
And
so it's.
I got corrected.
It's Maya, not Mia.
Maya Mata.
Maya Mata.
Mata.
Yes.
Mata. So
we'll
I apologize for mispronouncing that.
We'll work at that.
Yeah.
And another athlete that I understand I mispronounced last time, just to cover it, is female heavyweight, junior, senior, now a senior, Naomi. I pronounced it Alade. It's Alade.
Alade. Okay.
So that's just a correction, errata that we're trying to clean up. Anyway, back to the Canada Open.
But nobody from the Academy is signed up.
Nobody from the Academy, and right now the Academy, there's one athlete that is signed up to compete that week.
Another G2.
Another G2.
But not the Canada Open G2.
The Fujairah Open, which is a G2 in the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
Well, halfway around the world. That's Faith Dillon. Way to go, Faith.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Faith. You got rewarded for your great performance, I think. I'm guessing that's what this is. And you're being sent with a coach and a trainer to the Emirates.
I wonder who signed up for that. Have you looked?
I've looked, and it's a lot of kind of local people in that part of the world. There's no other huge name in 57 right now with Faith, and the highest I noticed was a Tunisian who's ranked 20th in the world. So,
I'd like to see Faith fight Skylar Park again. I wish Faith was going to Canada Open.
Yeah, that would be great. And maybe they'll see each other at the US Open, because Faith is signed up for the US Open.
Yeah, of course.
So, Canada looks like right now that they'll probably get a little higher than last year. Last year's 244. This year's on trend for, I don't know, about 270 or something like that. But last year, and this isn't unique to the Canada or US Open, but the Canada Open had a 31% decline from registrations to who shows up on the brackets. The US Open was similar. It was 26% down from, it's like 583, I think it was. Registered, and whatever the number is, 26% lower for on the brackets.
We forgot another American that signed up for Canada Open.
We did?
Kayla Morales.
Kayla Morales.
Yes.
Knockout martial arts.
F49, yep.
I noticed another knockout martial arts who we used to train with in Rancho Cucamonga.
Well, through FaceTime, like remotely.
Yeah, well, we go down there too.
Anyway, and Bobby did coach summer.
Bobby Morales.
At tournaments.
Yep. But I noticed that another athlete has signed up in Canada. That's knockout martial arts. Used to be a cadet when we were training with them.
Who's that?
Then went to Mackenzie McGregor.
Mackenzie.
Remember her? She was great.
Yeah.
And she's in I think it's 62 or something.
Oh, wow.
So she's really grown up.
Yeah.
Because she was really tall as a cadet.
Oh, cool.
So it'd be really interesting to see her and how she does.
Okay, so we got Knockout Martial Arts has a couple athletes there. We got Ace with a couple athletes.
Yeah, and there's, a scattering of Americans from all over the country. But it's still low numbers. I haven't done the summation because we should go 12 days to go. So every day I look at the numbers each morning and write them down. So I'm doing a chart showing the trends, and I published it today. I'll put every 4 or 5 or 6 days, I'll put out a new chart, the same chart with updated data on it. And we'll see where we are for the Canada and US Open. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about US Open.
US
Open in Reno. So right now, it's already registrations are lower than what they were last year.
Way lower.
Way lower. Well, we know that everybody likes Vegas, and every time it's at like Orlando, when it's been at Reno before, in 2016, it was a lot lower as well.
Right.
But
this year, it's exploring new depths, it appears. Although we still got 18 days to go. 18 days until February 1st, registrations for the U.S. Open. And right now, as of this morning, there's about 230 seniors registered. 230 compared to 583 last year, which is the final number. So, and the trend is that it's sort of flattening off as opposed to accelerating. So we've got to see this week in particular, we need to see a nice inflection upwards on registrations for the U.S. Open, people.
Well, one thing, and I don't want to get into politics or anything, but the economy is not good, and inflation could have a big impact on, why people are not traveling to these high quality, big, grade point tournaments.
Right.
So.
Yeah, especially if you're on the East Coast. Both of these events are on the, West Coast, basically. Mm-hmm. And the only people that can realistically drive to the Canada Open are, Washington State and Oregon, northernmost California, but that's a long drive. We wouldn't drive from here because it'd be like, 17 hours or something. So we're not driving, we're flying.
No, we're not. We're
from northern Nevada.
Yeah.
So forget about driving from Texas or something.
But I know people have complained for the US Open in Reno that it's more expensive to fly there because it's a smaller airport. We drive there because it's like a 4.5 hour drive for us to go there, and we use points, so we stay at the A-Loft for free.
Yeah.
But
and we've got history with Reno and relatives and stuff too. So
yeah, our son lives there.
Yeah, details.
Yeah, details.
Yeah,
but
who recently got married.
Yeah,
he's now married.
Yeah, but he's not in Taekwondo.
Yeah, so 230 registered for the U.S. Open versus nearly 3 times that. Not quite, but nearly 3 times that a year ago. So we'll see what happens.
So who else is registered for USA?
Well, there's a big team registered. Turkey.
the hell is Turkey doing in Reno?
Turkey is
Somebody's
not going to the Fujira Open, the G2, which is the same, and the Turkish Open is also in that same time
so
frame.
the Screamer is going to be there.
Merv Dinsel.
Merv, 49
Cavaret,
Merv.
who got married, so she's now got a third name. Merv Dinsel, I think it's Cavaret.
She just Merv
Cavaret.
to me. Yeah.
So it's Merv, the Screamer. She and her teammates, the national team, are coming to the U.S. Open in Reno. They're skipping the Turkish Open, which is a G1 this year, and the Fujira Open.
But that's smart, though.
Yeah.
Somebody's paying attention to points.
The last time in 2019 they came, they were the dominant team. They got 5 golds and a bunch of other medals. So we'd expect much the same this time. Although some of their athletes have gotten a little older and some have retired. But, expect Turkey's a big draw. And so, it's worth going just to watch Merv
Do they have
fight.
Somebody in every weight class?
I don't know.
Okay. So who of the U.S. is going to the U.S. Open?
Well, the academy's all signed up.
All the academy.
The major people at the academy all
Okay.
signed
What
up.
about tops?
I did not notice that.
We don't know.
But of course they're going to go. I think Caitlin Cox is showing up. Is signed up. So she signed up with Faith in 57, and so there's a tops member right there.
And we should congratulate Terrence Jennings on being one of the new coaches for tops now.
Yeah, TJ.
So we'll see him.
That's one of the 2 TJs.
Yeah, and then on ace we've got TJ Curry.
Yeah.
So congratulations, TJ Curry, for being the new coach.
And
for ace.
And it was very interesting that USAT went out of their way. A whole bunch of sort of administrative people at USAT went out of their way to congratulate TJ for kind of leaving their ranks and going to ace. And they said that, we're looking forward to a close, positive relationship with ace, which sounds good, but it also sounds mysterious.
So, conspiracy theory land. What do you think is going on?
Well, I know from the source himself that there is no financial support coming from USAT to ACE. But there's,
No, they're all private donors.
Private donors, so it's not like this is a spin-off of USAT Academy. It's not
AAU.
Or AAU Tops. It's not a spin-off.
Yeah, it's its own.
It is spun off, but it's an independent.
It's an independent donors, independent group.
Yeah, and Toby's done a great job.
Yeah, you had a conversation with him.
Yeah,
directly.
Called him up, and we talked about it, and he really explained things really well.
Yeah. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
But I have to say,
they're looking for at least one more athlete.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tops signed up 3 new people because they lost 4.
Yeah.
So that tells me that they're still looking for at least one more, maybe more than that. And they had a big camp.
So there's all this competition and
and
recruiting athletes.
The good news is more athletes are fully sponsored.
I know, that's very exciting.
That's fantastic.
This is good. This is a good thing for USA. It's making us more globally better.
Yes.
That's probably not very good grammar, but
I like it.
I'm a little excited just
like
because we need that. The USA needs that. We're 11th in the world and the Olympic rankings.
Right.
And come on, we're the USA.
Yeah.
And we fight. We do more fighting amongst each other than we do trying to let's all work together and get these kids on whatever sponsored team we can do. I mean, we have great athletes, especially F49. We have so many good F49ers, and they're starting to get nominated. And I think it's really positive. And we've got the 58ers, male 58ers, and who is our dominant 68er?
Well, it's Calfani.
Okay.
Calfani, but we also got Mako Rodriguez and Isaiah Young, and this new guy, Victor Rodriguez, is a brand new senior.
We missed
came out of nowhere.
Time. He didn't just win 5
he
matches.
Won 5.
He won 5, but he had 6.
6 matches.
His last one, he is the only one he lost with Calfani.
Yeah, so impressive as heck. And, I also put up some charts today about U.S. participation in internationals as well at the U.S. Open. Over the last from 2013 to 2023. And, the trends are a little bit down for both U.S. and internationals. They're up and down, but mostly down. So maybe this kind of thing, with more opportunities for seniors, will have more retention of the cadets into juniors to seniors, so that the seniors start to creep back up. Because they can see a future.
Right.
And it'd be great, if they could also do Taekwondo in college. But there is Taekwondo in college, but it's more it's a club sport.
It's more of a club recreational sport rather than, and that was one of the things that when you were talking to Toby, he mentioned that the USA, we're number 11th because we treat Taekwondo, which is an Olympic sport, like a recreation instead of a professional sport like the other countries do that are
like Turkey.
Yeah. So I think this is really good. Everybody get together and let's really sponsor these athletes. Like I know there's some other clubs out there that are more coach clubs, and we were trying to get information like, well, you're claiming athletes' success, but are you funding them? And we could never get any data or information on that.
Right.
But right now, the only 3 groups that are actually fully funding with benefits and everything. Well, I know the Academy, you get benefits, and I knew WCAP you did too, but because you were in the Army. But I don't know what, ACE and TOPS, if they're actually benefits for adult black belt athletes.
We don't know.
Yeah, we
but
don't know.
They're,
But that would be great if they could mirror what's going on with the Academy.
I think they're aiming for that.
Like you said, it's a future.
Yeah, they're aiming for that.
Mm-hmm.
And and that it cannot hurt. It will only help. And it's great for our athletes. And, I also put out the trends of, how the U.S. has done at our US Open over the last decade. And, it's again up and down. But last year, for example, we got a gold, a silver, and 2 bronze. And that was amongst our least good, almost worst, results of the last decade. Because, we just don't have the numbers to compete with the internationals. And of course, Korea was there too, so that was a big deal. But this year, let's aim for, at least a couple gold medals, maybe multiples, but at least a couple. We've got the talent throughout the country to do that. It's happened before. The U.S. has had up to 6 gold medals at the U.S. Open, so let's aim for that. Let's aim for the best.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
I think that's it for now. We're gonna keep on top of this stuff, and we'll have more to say over the next week.
And I want to talk about the Biotrim and the Detox.
Do that.
Oxymag powder, because
what are those canisters?
Well, this is what got our daughter through, down to 49. I mean, it's very healthy. This is the Oxymag powder, and you take 4 capsules. And so anyway, I put on the group that if anybody wants some free samples, just DM me, message me with your name and address. I've had a few people already, so I've got some of those going out tomorrow in the mail. And then so basically this is like, you take this in the morning and it's a fat burner, but it's also a very focused, super amounts of energy because it's the pantothenic acid. It's got guarana seed extract, uva ursi, alfalfa. So you lose the water weight in a healthy way because it's also an astringent to your kidneys. And the hoodia in it is what the American Indians, First Nation, used to use when they go on their hunting trips because it suppresses your appetite so you don't feel hungry.
That sounds great. What does an astringent to your kidneys mean?
It means it actually cleanses it, and it's kind of, I won't say antibiotic, but while you're losing like the water weight, your bloat, it helps you lose bloat, so it's like a natural diuretic. It cleanses your kidneys as well, so it's super healthy, but you feel very energized, super alert in a very healthy, natural way. And then now I've had wrestlers lose like 6 pounds overnight. They took this with actual probiotic as well, and there's no cramping or anything like that, so there's no pain involved. You take it before you go to bed, and it's compared to like a colonic. Sometimes some people have said it feels like a laxative, but it's not a laxative at all. It's very, very healthy.
I've taken it.
Yeah, it's I used to take it to try to get rid of extra bloating or anything when I would compete in bodybuilding shows. Like I said, our daughter Summer, she relied a little bit too much on the Biotrim and the Oxymag powder for her weight control right before weigh-ins and stuff. But when you do, if you in conjunction with your meal prepping. And, if anybody wants help with that, feel free to contact me. I've made posts about that in the past. But, again, if anybody wants some free samples, DM me with your name and address, and I'll get a couple out to you.
I got a couple questions about bloat. So, do people bloat when they fly? And what about at altitude?
That's a great
and
question.
what about at altitude? Reno's at 45, almost 5,000 feet. Like
no,
Denver.
It's not so much the altitude. That it just has to do with like your cardio. So you almost need like a day or two to kind of, get. But you do bloat from flying on an airplane, so you should give yourself an extra day. You can gain it like a kilo or so, a couple of pounds, just from flying on an airplane. A lot of people don't realize that. They think like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? I gained weight and all I did was go on an airplane. But that's why, because of the
Pressure.
pressure and everything. And so it's just a reaction. And
I've known people who even they take off their shoes when they get on the plane.
I used to do that too.
And their shoes are very snug when they try to put them back on.
Yes.
Your feet even
Yes.
swell.
Everybody bloats on an airplane. So when you're doing a lot of traveling, just make sure that you give yourself the time. That's why a lot of the athletes are like running on the treadmill trying to like lose that water weight. But there is another supplement that's pretty healthy. Expel is a pretty good natural diuretic. You can get it at Walmart or GNC, XPELL, I believe.
Yeah.
I used to take that like the day before when I would do competitions.
Yeah. One final note, I just remembered there are a bunch of Pan American countries coming to the US Open, and some of them are also going to Canada. Brazil, of course, Nicaragua, Colombia, Costa Rica. Not many Mexicans that I've seen signed up, but Mexico is usually late in signing up. So a lot of Pan American competition, which is really important for especially Faith and Christina Teachout to practice against as many of those Pan Americans as they can, because they're going to be facing them in the qualifier.
When is the qualifier? Is that in May?
Early April.
Early April, okay.
Yeah. So there's still, what is that, 3 months, 4 months?
Yeah.
3 months.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. That's
okay.
it.
All right. Happy Sunday, everybody, and good luck.